All right, hello and welcome to the very first episode of the Travel Logs. I'm Blake. That's Ash back there. She's got the hat. And we're headed today from Wisconsin down to Florida. And we're in about our 6th hour driving right now. It's 20th of February, and we're just coming through Kentucky. Now, Kentucky is the home state of the doctor of journalism, Hunter S. Thompson, the late doctor of journalism. Just so happens that the 20th is the anniversary of his death. I think it's, 17 years or something like that, almost 20 years now. And being the anniversary of his death, I can see no better opportunity to load up on heinous chemicals and drive through the hill country at night with the headlights off at 110 miles an hour. But before we do that, do something a little less exciting. I think it's about time to stop for lunch. So I got a place in Nashville we're going to check out. We'll catch up with you there. So where do we begin? You know those travelers on YouTube. Off to Maui or the Australian Gold Coast, wherever, perfectly tanned and moisturized, not a baggy eye or a functional shoe in sight. Yeah, this isn't like that. What if you're a normal person, traveling on business to such exotic locales as Paducah, Kentucky, or, God forbid, Houston, Texas? Your perception of the world would be different, mostly gleaned through a dirty windshield, forever associated with recollections of traffic jams and disappointing fast food meals consumed quickly on interstate stop-offs. That's 90% of your time. But it's not all grim, because the 10% is host to some of the most memorable moments I've experienced. Gritty, honest, human interactions that shape my view of our collective experience. Far more real and tangible than you would ever get in a cabana in Cancun. These are the moments that I hope to share with you. Shadow of the famous rock and roll building. That's what it's called. I feel like I'm doing an episode of fucking Diners, Drive-Ins, and Dives, but this is Pinewood Social Club. And one of the things I like to do on the road is have a place to go that I know. Otherwise, when you wake up and you can't remember where the fuck you are, you start to feel not human. I haven't spent any real time in Nashville. I always seem to be here on a stopover, quick bite, before heading off to the next place on the itinerary. But lately I find myself wishing that weren't the case. Being a creature of habit, I stopped by Ritual at Pinewood Social to get a French dip. They happen to have a bowling alley, which I never get to use, and a bar with some creative cocktails, which I do get to use. Inevitably, I meet other Wisconsinites, bellied up here, answering the siren's call to refreshment. Here, have a hastily captured video of Ash's sandwich after I devoured mine, thoughtless to the need for more footage. All right, the morning status update. You just woke up here, coming out of the hotel. Heard she's stationary for a second. And one thing that's good for you, man, yogurt. It's a major part of the travel diet. Just survived standing behind Captain Stirstick, who I met at the coffee bar at the hotel. I think the guy spent 3 minutes stirring his coffee. Cautiously considerate. A little more milk. He was looking for the perfect shade. I think at one point he pulled a card out of his wallet to compare colors with the coffee. Just the right amount of tan. I mean, it was like 3 minutes. Milk. And stir very carefully, zen. And then when I got there, they didn't have any fucking coffee anyway. So note to you viewers, if you're at the hotel, take your coffee away from the pot of coffee, stir it at your table. We don't need to see that. There's 10 travel guys behind you who are thinking about running you over. It's good yogurt though.
When in doubt, move about. That's the travel.
When in doubt, move about.
Alright, it's day 3 here, and I'm in Orlando. Yesterday was kind of a dirge. Today we're headed all through the city, down Premier Row, and then we're headed to Tampa. We'll see what we can do there. I'm just booking up our hotel for the next night, and one of the things that I depend on when I'm in the field here is booking a comfortable hotel. If you spend 18 hours in a car and your bed isn't comfortable and you can't sleep in it, you kind of want to drive up the off-ramp. But I find most of the places I travel, the Marriotts are pretty consistent and generally comfortable, and you got to get on Google and check the reviews. You look for kind of weed it out, look for the picky people, the other traveling professionals, and then look at around the hotel. You want to look at like what's is it tucked between like a Waffle House and a La Quinta, and across the street there's like a 7-Eleven, and sometimes you go on the street view and you're like, okay, the same. But if you do it right, you end up next to a Top Golf. That's the move. I look for where's there a Top Golf or one of the driving range places, and then you can maybe there's like a Nordstrom rack near there, real bougie shit. And then that's the one that you pick, because you go, look, nobody's gonna bother me. I'm not gonna run into a surprise motorcycle rally and they decide to rev up their engines at 1 a.m, paper walls and people having fist fights and shit. None of that. You look for a Top Golf, and then a supermarket, you go get your case of beer, you get some fucking salad, you have a nice steak. Basically, that's today. This is a green business trip.
How many bottles did you say? -1. Minus that.
After saving the environment, we penetrated deeper and deeper into the heart of the Everglades. I've been programmed to not stop driving until I reach my destination, but Steve Irwin here has decided that we should look for panthers on the side of the road. And there's some water over here if we want to try to pet an alligator. If we're lucky, we'll meet a coral snake. So far, I've seen a pizza box, a empty bottle of Muscle Milk, and a lot of bugs. Actually, they're everywhere. Look at. They're all over the place. But if you do have time, and you're going to Miami from the other side of the state, man, look at them jumping. You could take the old 41 through the Everglades, and maybe in the summer when it's real hot, you can see gators. But mostly, I've seen tan Floridians, in their late 80s with that leather skin tone, no shirt, fishing, kind of 3 feet from passing cars. Tempting fate. It's cool. It's really nice out right now. It's really, really nice. And the birds are... As it turned out, we did find something other than the orgy of bugs to film. Now it's actually... Oh, Jesus. What? Is there one right there?
I thought there was.
Now it's more... Careful, there's cars coming.
Okay. I just don't want to get...
All right, now it's actually more exciting than bugs. Come on. I walked through a web. Everyone gets everything he wants. I wanted to see an alligator, and for my sins, they let me. After this, we got back on the road, but it seemed that our wildlife encounter was still stuck in my head. I keep getting the creepy crawlies, so I am getting the creepy crawlies. When you get out there, I walk through that web. I'm like, great, I'm at some giant man-eating spider that lives only in the Florida Everglades, right? Everything you just make your life. It's not quite Australia levels, but all of the bugs here are like not kind. No, you got animals too that you can. Coral snake. It's unfortunate we couldn't get it on video. There was a bird, corn snake. One of the stripey one that does the, it was on the road. I thought I decapitated the thing, and I looked back and it was, coiling up. That's one of those animals you can drive right up to. Drive up. That's like, drive up to a corn snake. Hey! And unlike there's animals you drive with, alligator, drive up to. And then you see people with bison. You go out to Montana and they drive up next to a bison and they're like, "What's up, buddy?" And the bison puts his head in the window and they're like, "Ah! The bison's like, "I'm trying to say hi!" So don't, birds. Grackle. This is my wildlife commentary in the Florida Glades. Do I have like a giant fucking spider?
I can't see.
I have like
We'll like
I've got the fear.
We'll like take off our socks and our toes will be necrotic and stuff.
They're gonna get on you. Oh, like crackheads. Like, I gotta take off my clothes. Yeah. All right. So this is like, like Beat Bobby Flay. This is like that if it was like really low budget and you weren't versing anybody. So you go $15 for your meal. Get some soup, cheese. This is thanks to Steve Irwin behind the camera, and the bruschetta, and then you pretend that you're healthy in between bouts of whiskey with the green drink. I guess while we're here, I should brush up on my Spanish, considering 90% of the population speaks Spanish first language. We can do some simple ones, hola, mi vida es basura. How can I call you? Can I? Look at this, those peacocks. Females, right? The females are the males are the colorful. I think that's close. That's close, yeah. Trust me, watch some Nat Geo. Jesus, oh, Miami is a place that crept up on me. I remember being here the first time, 4th of July weekend, jammed in between cars on the I-95, 90-something degrees outside with the AC cranked, sweating through my shirt and thinking, what a fucking mess. But now, with only a few visits under my belt, things are different. Within 2 days, I'm sinking into my own personal, deluded fantasy. I can see myself cruising Ponce de Leon in a white convertible, a Cadillac perhaps, the Acapulco shirt, a fine gold necklace peeking out from an absurd amount of chest hair, a pasty Midwestern guy transformed into a bronzed stereotype of a cocaine don, a pure anachronism, ridiculously ostentatious. The fact is, this feels the least American of any major U.S. city. From a hotel window, most places look the same, a featureless melange of gas stations and fast food restaurants, if you're lucky enough to avoid the side of the building that faces the alley. I don't give a fuck about the beach. I'm not staying at a resort. You won't find me wearing a swimsuit. To see this city the way I see it, go down to Calle Ocho on a fine Saturday afternoon as rhythmic music begins to waft through the humid air from one of the seemingly endless Cuban establishments with fantastic cheap food and beautiful waitstaff, rum drinks, and swaying bodies. Let your senses sink into the surroundings like a warm bath. Tell yourself you're going to learn Spanish, and then immediately forget to follow through when you return home. Clever. One requires a camera schmuck.
Yeah.
Right? A camera schmuck, which I guess is what GoPros are good for. But you watch things through a windshield, and you can get kind of detached and almost not necessarily bitter, but just very cynical about the entirety, right, of human experience. Cities and traffic and, you know, bits and pieces, pedestrians and crosswalks. You know, you're going someplace and it's all goal oriented, and it can be very frustrating, and so you disconnect. But when you get down and you stop and you sit in a bar or a restaurant, and somebody across from you connects on just a fragment of conversation, something overheard, and you get reconnected, you know, all of a sudden you drive about, and for me, you walk about and you see, you know, the guy with 2 bikes and 2 cigarettes. Two old 2 smokes, you know, the man himself, 2 cigarettes in his mouth, and you're like, and it's the sum total of human experience encapsulated somehow in this one image, in a passing image, and that's what's so special about this, about travel. All of the you know, the tiresome aspects and the movement and the frustration, and then you just have a snapshot. And the best ones are only for a half a second. Every once in a while, for a half a second, I look out my driver's side window as I'm going through an intersection, and I see a scene to my left, and it's like a Rembrandt, you know, but it's real and it's better because it's not Dutch, let's be honest. But that's the intangible. And I think not losing that is important as a society, as a whole.
Mm-hmm.
Yesterday